jury find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty on 5 felony charges after he shot 3 people, 2 of them fatally, during last year's unrest in Wisconsin. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. Jurors had to decide whether the case against the armed out-of-state teenager amounted to self-defense or vigilantism. News 8's Kirsten Holmes has more on today's verdict and local reaction.
That verdict was vindication for Rittenhouse's supporters, who say the then 17-year-old was only defending himself after driving across state lines armed with an AR-15 style rifle to counter Black Lives Matter protesters. Critics call the verdict a mockery of justice and point to possible biases in the justice system, pointing out that nearly all-white jury. Meanwhile, here in San Diego, both sides I spoke with say they were not surprised by the outcome.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Black people across the world, and even here in this county, we knew that he was not going to get a conviction.
Tasha Williamson is a local activist who says the verdict in the Rittenhouse case only adds insult to injury.
The whole purpose of the protests that Rittenhouse went to was because they shot a man in the back 7 times.
She says the verdict also sends a dire warning to white allies who choose to step up or speak out about racial injustice.
And when they do this, they set themselves up for incarceration, for injury, and even death. And that is what white America told white allies today. This is nothing different from the civil rights era, where white women were raped and murdered because they supported black people and transported black people from one rally or meeting to the other.
It's not that surprising the way the prosecution not only put on the case, but how the witnesses testified.
Dan Green is a local defense attorney. He says the interpretation of state self-defense and gun laws are at the center of this case that's received national attention.
In federal court, all the rules are the same. But when you're in state court, we're talking about different rules for different states. The idea is that our justice system works when jurors put aside their positions and their beliefs and they follow the law.
I work in that business.
It wasn't important why he went there in the first place. It's what happened in the moment in time when he made the decision to use deadly force. Did he go there for noble reasons? I don't know. That's not the issue that was in front of the jury.
The jury took 26 hours to deliberate and were also allowed to take home juror instructions, which is unusual for courtrooms across the country, but was allowed in this particular case. Ultimately, they decided that Rittenhouse acted reasonably in self-defense. Local activists say there may be protests in our area following the Rittenhouse verdict. We'll keep you posted about those updates as they become available.
All right, Kirsten, thanks. Hundreds of workers with the city of San Diego and their supporters are in Balboa Park tonight to protest the city's vaccine mandate.
That mandate requires that all city employees, including first responders, be vaccinated by December 1st. News 8's Richard Allen is live in Balboa Park with their message and the mayor's response. Richard?
Well, that's right. Demonstrators here say they're not necessarily anti-vaccine, but they are opposed to not being able to choose whether or not to get the vaccine to keep their jobs. And they say hundreds of first responders are willing to walk off the job over this. Here's Sergeant Matt Randolph of the San Diego Police Department.
The primary goal of these mandates was never about our health, but rather control and the stripping away of our constitutional rights. Once you voluntarily give away your freedoms for perceived safety, you will never get them back.
And these demonstrators say that nearly 900 first responders, including more than 700 police officers, are currently not vaccinated and are willing to walk off the job if that vaccine mandate is maintained. Now, they say if that does come to pass, the vacuum left behind of all those first responders leaving will create a public safety crisis. They say, for instance, response times to emergencies will increase and that San Diego's communities will be affected, calling this mandate both tyrannical and unconstitutional.
Ultimately, we believe that leaders of any city should not create a public safety crisis when there are many alternatives, choices that are still available.
Alternatives, they say, like mandatory COVID testing, but the city says no, the vaccine mandate does stand. That deadline is December 1st. The mayor saying this is to protect both the public and to protect our city workers. Also pointing out that religious and medical exemptions are being considered on a case-by-case basis. Carlo and Marcella.
All adults nationwide can now get vaccine boosters. The CDC recommended the Pfizer or Moderna booster shot for all adults just hours after an FDA vaccine advisory committee voted for expansion. This makes it possible for tens of millions of Americans to get that booster shot ahead of the busy holiday season. California expanded booster eligibility last week to anyone 18 or older who received the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine at least 6 months ago.
An East County nurse pleaded not guilty in court today in the death of an inmate at Las Colinas detention facility in 2019.
Dana Lee Pasqua has been charged with involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors say she left an inmate having seizures on the floor of her cell for nearly an hour.
News 8's Heather Hope has what's next in the case and what the nurse's attorney is saying.
Today in court, we got opposing opinions about nurse Dana Lee Pasqua. Her attorney painting her out to be a caring, attentive mother. Meanwhile, the deputy district attorney cited criminal negligence, a part of her involuntary manslaughter charge.
Enters a plea of not guilty, denies any and all allegations.
Registered nurse Dana Lee Pasqua answered to the charge of involuntary manslaughter before a judge inside an El Cajon courtroom. On November 11, 2019, 24-year-old Elisa Serna died while in custody at the Las Colinas detention facility. Serna's family's attorney, Jean Iredale, told News 8 on November 5th that 36-year-old Pasqua failed to take Serna's vitals as she was having a seizure and left her on the ground of her cell for about an hour.
The response of the nurse was to say, let's leave. So they closed the door and they left.
Iredale says Serna was in custody on a minor drug-related charge and for being under the influence. Prosecutors did not discuss the details of the case, but referred to a November 4th statement made by District Attorney Summer Stephan, which says the evidence demonstrates criminal negligence that contributed to her death. It is a heartbreaking case of failure to safeguard Elisa's life by those who are charged with that responsibility.
That's their allegation. That's what an involuntary manslaughter charge is, that there is a duty and that she did not fulfill that duty to a certain extent.
Pasqua's attorney, Alicia Freeze, says Pasqua is an attentive, kind mother of 3 who had 46 family and friends present in court to support her.
Extremely devastated by the charge that she's facing. She has no record. She's been a nurse for about 7 years.
Pasqua was never detained or arrested and left Las Colinas as a nurse to work in administration at the Sheriff's Department.
She's been placed on suspension. She's suspended from her employment with the Sheriff's Department, but she has not been formally terminated. She does have union reps that are representing her.
Pasqua faces up to 4 years in prison if convicted.
As a condition of the defendant's release, she cannot practice medicine, she cannot practice nursing on any patients during not only the pendency of this case, but as a condition of her release.
Dana Lee Pasqua is due back in court on February 17th. Heather Hope, News 8.
A 35-year-old man from Kentucky accused of kidnapping his 3-year-old son and 16-year-old niece now faces charges of sexually assaulting a teenage girl. Jacob Clare was arrested in Orange County yesterday and is awaiting extradition. Sheriff's investigators say a teenage girl was sexually assaulted by Clare, but they did not provide any other details. The little boy and his teenage cousin were found safe in Dana Point. The children disappeared from Tennessee and Kentucky 2 weeks ago. The family of a Fallbrook woman who disappeared 2 weeks ago is organizing a search for her tomorrow.
We've looked all over Fallbrook, and we're just feeling a little bit desperate.
Family of Elena Roy is asking for the public's help to find her. The 83-year-old was last seen near Wood Creek Road. Her husband says she has dementia. Volunteers will be scouring South Fallbrook tomorrow morning. Anyone who can help is asked to please come to the Estrellas restaurant parking lot off South Mission Road at 9 a.m.
Interstate 5 came to a standstill in Carlsbad today when it started raining money.
It was quite the scene. The CHP says the door to an armored truck popped open after a crash and bags of cash just flew out. Ooh. News 8's Ariana Cohen is live at CHP headquarters in Vista with how drivers rushed to grab the money and how authorities want it back. Ariana?
Yes, CHP is asking people to return money here that collected it off the freeway. And earlier this morning, it was a very chaotic scene on the 5.
Social media influencer Demi Bagby shared this video throwing money in the air after bags of cash fell all over 5 North Freeway and parts of 5 South near Cannon Boulevard exit.
There is a lot of cash out here, and you guys will see it on social media. I've already seen some of the clips. It was across all the lanes, and there was a lot of money.
Sergeant Curtis Martin with the California Highway Patrol says at 9:15 Friday morning, the driver of this armored truck was heading to the Federal Reserve when the doors flew open, spilling cash.
All traffic came to a stop, and numerous people got out of their vehicles and started picking up the cash.
He says a man and woman collecting cash were arrested after they accidentally locked themselves out of their car.
There's already been some stuff on social media, and you can see that there's a lot of video evidence of people stealing the cash from the freeway and picking it up. We're working with the FBI now. It's a joint investigation.
After videos circulated on social media, many people came out searching for money.
My little brother, Shiloh Sayal, he called me instantly and he was like, dude, there's money on the floor on the freeway. I would have probably spent it. Went to go buy my newborn some clothes. If you find any, are you going to keep it or turn it in? Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to pocket that.
However, CHP is urging people to return the money to the CHP office in Vista immediately.
We just want people to be honest and turn in money that's not theirs.
Now, CHP doesn't know the exact amount of money that fell from the armored truck. Now, again, this is against the law because the money belongs to the FDIC. CHP says 5 people have returned money here so far, and they say honesty is the best policy. So if you collected any money on the freeway, return it here to the Vista location.
All right, Ariana, thanks. You are getting one of your last reminders tonight to see if the county owes you any money. More than $713,000. That's a lot of money. In unclaimed tax refunds will roll into the county's general fund if it isn't claimed by December 17th. To find out if you are owed money, you can go to the County Treasurer Tax Collector's website. We have put a link on the help button at cbs8.com. And Carlo, I just went on there, checked your name and my name.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I've already checked.
I'll check Evan's name during a commercial break. Yeah.